Okay, everyone, thanks for joining us here. It's just Scrappin. This is my interview show with members of the Star Realms community. Do join me every Wednesday evening for my standard Star Realms stream that will involve community banter, challenges, etc. And I hope everyone enjoyed last week's discussion with Nathan and Missy. Tonight, we've got a treat. Rich is a member of the Star Realms community. You guys know Rich. But the reason we're having him on specifically, last year he opened up a game store. Tremendous risk anytime. Maybe even more so, significantly up a tier in 2020. Beyond that, Rich and I do go back. We've met several times at conventions. Oddly, we met at an Epic tournament. Rich Matney, how the hell are you?
Oh man, Matt the Cutter. How I am better than I deserve. How about that? How the heck are you?
Oh man, I'm great. I'm so grateful that you are doing this with me, and I'm thrilled to see you again. You were one of the favorite people that I've met at the White Wizard Game Fairs. I think were you also at Origins last year? I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah,
2019.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. 2019, which was awesome. That was a great time.
And yeah, I everything is great with the game. And what I said in the lead up, we didn't meet via Star Realms. We met via Epic.
Funny enough, yeah, the very first launch of White Wizard and their epicness, and even what they even had some paid Star Realms tournaments, which was not even announced, I think, until everyone even got there. It's like, and so then us Star Realms guys, you and me, are like, wait a minute, what? This is cool. Let's go make some money.
So real quick, I will of course accept. We'll get back into Star Realms and Epic here in a second. I'm going to accept. Oh, that's right. I sent it to you. So why don't you go
Oh,
ahead
yep, I'll do
accept
that.
that?
Done.
And before we kind of even get into that, Rich, tell us about you, where you're at, and who is with you.
Um, so yeah, my wife is in the office. She'll probably walk by in some point in time. She's not very involved with the community, but her name's Tracy, and she's an awesome social media person. So go check her out. I don't know. Anyway, and but yeah, otherwise I'm at home. We live in Southern California, and we're enjoying our winter, which we don't know what winter is in Southern California, so it's kind of nice. Although we do have snow in the mountains, so that's nice. I like it being up there though.
So tell me again, what you're in which city?
It's called Redlands. It's right next to San
Redlands.
Bernardino,
Okay.
and San Bernardino County is one of the largest counties in the United States. So, yeah, we probably should say so. We are actually playing all three base sets, right? Did you want to say that at all?
Yes, I'm sorry. Rich is right. I should totally set this up. Rich and I are playing. I've had several different names for this sort of tri-core, tri-base, three-base, all-base. I don't know if there's anything that's actually official, but that is what we are playing.
Funny story. So I just bought the Ram, which is by far one of my favorite cards, and RAM is actually my initials. So Richard Anthony Matney. Uh,
Nice.
and then so I actually signed. I actually signed somebody's. I should use my combat RAM card in their set. One of the forget his name off the top of my head. You probably remember, but was running around Origins getting cards signed and stuff like that. I was like, dang, I should do that.
So I'm in this weird spot where if I take the stealth needle now, I know my best opportunity is a stealth explorer. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna let you. Oh no! But then if you stealth those, we're already looking at kind of a rough stealth game if I do that. So Rich and
Oh,
Tracy,
he's taking it.
yeah, we
I
took
love
it.
it. Let's see how many scouts you get.
So Rich and Tracy recently opened up a friendly local game store.
Yeah,
Tell us about
we
how
call
that
it
sort
board
of
game.
yeah, to give us a
Call
name
it board
first.
game paradise. I even put on my shirt for you guys.
Nice.
No, it's hard to see. It's
Nice.
probably backwards too. But anyway, board game paradise.
And
So
how
funny story.
long before
Go ahead.
corona did was the idea born to open up a game store?
Oh man. Okay, so since we're playing a game, we have some time. So I guess the real question is how much of the real story versus the short story do you want?
Hey, I had you on to talk about it. Let's not take any shortcuts.
So crazy enough, I don't even know how much I've talked to you about this, but I'm a man of faith, and I was actually at a missions conference of all things, and just felt like middle of prayer and was just hanging out. And I'm not, I am, I am someone who's definitely called to the business world, and so I don't have these big dreams of going overseas and all that fun, crazy stuff. But yeah, but I love just going, hanging out, hearing some awesome stories. And so I was in prayer and was like, hey, you should start working on a business plan for Board Game Cafe. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. I mean, not what I was expecting. And so I went and told my wife, and she's like, okay. And that started it. And one of these exams look back and figure out the year, but that was, I think, 6 years ago. Might even been 7, but we'll go 6. And that started it. So literally, I started the development of a business plan. Within 3 months, it actually signed up with GTS as a distribution, and just started down the rabbit hole of what it looks like, what it costs to start up a board game cafe. And so I'm not doing a cafe currently because that is a terrible idea to open up during a pandemic. But more so is just the cafe side of things is really expensive. And so did one thing after another, realized I was already hosting a game night at my house, and was like, well, if I really want to do something and do this thing, I should probably move it outside of my house. And so started hosting a meetup on meetup.com at local pizza shop. They call it Gourmet Pizza Shop. And they have beer and pizza. And there are very few things in life, in my opinion, that beat playing board games and drinking beer together. It's just amazing. Man, you got me all 3 colors right now. I'm not doing good at this.
So the idea really came as an inspiration. This wasn't something that you went through some sort of business schooling with an idea for long term. This
Right.
kind of came to you as a little bit of a calling, if you will.
So yeah, I've loved board games. I've played ever since I was a kid. I used to collect Monopoly board games and played Uno and everything else growing up. So I was a classic traditionalist, and then got into Magic. Had a buddy who got me into Magic, and a buddy who got me into Dungeons and Dragons, all in high school. And tried the Magic thing for a short time, and then got mad and didn't have very much money in college. So realized this wasn't going to work out. So I stopped playing Magic back in college, and then um, ended up getting into an amazing campaign of Dungeons and Dragons while in college. So that was awesome. Like, this guy would actually literally write up like dreams that I had and would hand them to me the next time we got together. It was so cool. So one thing led to another. Eventually, another buddy of mine introduced me to Catan, and the slope just slipped from there. So I was done, and slowly. And funny enough, I actually ended up starting playing more games after college than I did inside of college. So, yeah. And then
I'm taking
go
a
ahead. You say.
rare mid-game frontier fairy. I feel like I might be able to make this deck work, but I may have to come back a little bit life-wise. And I can see that since, while I have maybe a little bit of scrap going, you don't. You have a ton of damage, but I almost wonder if I can make it close and bring it back. I've got to trigger the shuffle here. I don't have a choice. I do hit that stealth needle. We're gonna.
Oh, ooh, you get the life gain too.
Yep. So
Oh, what a cheater!
this might work out.
Cheater. Nice bottom deck there.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
The life gain is your saving grace right there. I don't know if you said mid game, and I was like, wait a minute, mid game?
Well,
We're
you
not that
had
far. And then I opened my deck, and I'm like, oh dang,
you
look
had
how
me
much
in the
damage I have.
you had me in the 20s. I mean, like
So
the high 20s or low 30s.
yeah, I just got to keep pounding you then. So I'm coming for you. Oh, I gained 1 life. How about that? All right, back to you.
So you have the idea, and then you start moving towards it, having no idea what's coming around the time that you end up incidentally looking to potentially open. How did that
Well,
evolve?
so that's an interesting point. So we're now 6 years into it. Been hosting the meetup 4 years, all that good stuff. I've I've interviewed game stores, I've interviewed game store cafe owners. I've done the gamut, done my due diligence, and at this point had actually kind of almost like given up hope, actually, because I am I'm technical minded, but I have a business aptitude as well. So I did graduate from Baylor University, but it was one of those that I have 8 right now, and there is nothing on the trade row. That is frustrating.
Yeah, I feel like you could definitely still benefit from that space. Oh, not going space station. Okay, then
No,
yeah,
I
you
gotta take the
you
hive with the
you
green and
actually
the
you
draw,
do.
and
I was gonna say
so
you have slightly more yellow, but
I
your
do. It's
green's
true.
pretty beefy too. I
But the
mean,
draw with green
nothing
is so
wrong with
good.
green yellow.
So we'll see. I'm gonna go bases and see if it helps me out. We'll see what happens. I don't want that. All right, yeah. So dreaming about it. I've talked to friends and whole nine. I mean, literally just been dreaming about it for 6 years now. And it actually had to get to the point where I was kind of like, you know what? I don't think I can quit my job. That's what I was talking about, technical minded with business aptitude, and found myself in sales out of college for several years. Really enjoyed that, and currently, so anyway, I'm making decent money, and it's really hard to make decent money at a game store. So it's like, well, I can't quit my day job because I still got student loans I'm paying off, and I still got a family and a house that we got to pay for and stuff like that. Actually, I'm just renting. Um, so it's like, dang, what do I do? Um, and so I had kind of given up, and I was like, I can't afford the idea of giving up a job. And so I was like, oh well, maybe it'll happen down the road. I was like, I'll consider it. I'll look at it a little bit more once we actually are um, debt free and don't have that all over us and everything else. And good buddy of mine, we've talked multiple times. So him and I actually met because I told you, signed up with an account with Distribution GTS. That way I can start selling games at market night, local market night that we did. So, um, yeah, if you jump on my Facebook, I think you can actually see some of those original pictures. But I looked back at one of the original pictures and I almost died laughing at how small of an inventory I decided to have. I was able to get and then still opened up a market night. I'm like, what was I thinking? So that anyway, fond memories. Every once in a while, we try to do like a throwback Thursday or something like that, and it's that one came up recently, and it was pretty comical in my opinion. So anyway, did the crazy thing about setting up market night on Thursdays and still doing the meetup and whatnot, and just one step after another, we started growing a community and everything else, and so. Anyway, so I had a buddy we met. He used to work for AEG, Aldrich Entertainment Company,
Oh, sure.
and group. He wore multiple hats at that and progressed his way up. And so there was a time when they kind of laid everybody off, and then he ended up finding a job at a retail store not too far away. And so he went and checked that out and worked there for a while, actually, before he got kind of tired of people there and was like, all right, we need to do something different. Um, One
Oh, it
life, bro.
won.
One life. I failed. So I thought about it over and over again, and I should have the what is it, agging, whatever, battleship. I knew I should have scrapped that, and
Oh,
I didn't
didn't
think you're gonna have enough damage to get me
was
where I'm at right now.
kind of thinking the game
So
might go one more cycle.
so I think you got me simply because I didn't scrap that. I knew I should have. So literally, that would have been the game. Oh well. You win. I
Good
think.
first game.
Uh, I failed. I failed.
We'll overkill you.
So you got to take advantage of it now. I let you. I let you. Nice. And of course, yeah, yeah, good.
I'll
Good
send you
game.
that back.
So yeah, and so he called me. So we talked multiple times because we already talked at. I was doing some sort of retail level with AEG, and um, and so him and I then there was a local game store, so it was a store I was kind of going to and hanging out and playing Key Forge and whatever else I could. And he called me up, was like, dude, let's do something in Redlands. And I'm like, let me run the numbers again. And so he actually kind of gave me the opportunity because he could do it full time, and fortunately he was in a position where he didn't need a whole lot of money, so he was like, let's do something. And I said, so ran the numbers, and I had already tried to twist my wife's arm a few different times at this point. So she kind of said, show me the numbers, and and I felt like that was actually one of the last pieces that I was really holding on to, because I didn't really want to put paper to pen when it came to the numbers, because I was like, I know what the numbers are. I know what the numbers are going to be. So I don't want to see what they look like on paper. So finally did. I felt like that was the last thing I really needed to do for the business plan as well. And kept postponing, and finally was like, all right, let's really crunch numbers, see what it looked like. And it's funny. So at the time I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I would need to sell like $15,000 worth of board games every month just to break even. That's not making any money. I'm like,
So yeah, I have no idea. This is the kind of stuff that I can only imagine you guys had to go over and over and over. And Rich, do you come? You said you do come from a business background. Is that correct?
so I started out electrical computer engineering in college, and then switched over to business. So I did have, so my parents work for the government, work for the county. My dad was a county assessor. My mom was a court clerk. So, and that became a court supervisor. So yeah, so I didn't have any business aptitude growing up. It was very much just what I learned from college. And then she has a good head, and my wife has a great head on her shoulders as well. And but I did learn a lot in college when it comes to a lot of those things. So that's where I got most of it from.
So
So yeah,
bring us to 2000.
so without any business knowledge, you think about that. So I think about $15,000 a month without the business knowledge. You think that sounds like a big number.
Yeah, it does.
Like, even to me, I was like, that's a lot of board games. I'm like, how many board games is that? And it's a lot. And so it's one of those things that it was like, okay, and that's just to break even. So it's like, in order to make money, and you got to think about that, half of everything. So inventory costs, like retailers, most of them are buying them like in between 55 and probably 60%. So we're ultimately not making that much when you take the account in rent that we got to pay our employees if the store has them.
Yeah, employees.
Insurance. I mean, it's amazing. Electricity. The POS that you have can be thousands to get started and hundreds each month, and so it's just like, what the heck, man? There's a lot of, and that's why 15,000. It takes that much just to break even, is because of all the extra business expenses that a business has in general. So even if I sold 15,000, that would pay for all the bills that we had, and then so the 5,000 after that. 25 to 3,000 of that is already taken out from inventory costs. So it's like, so if I did 20,000, I'd be making like $1,500 a month. It's like, yeah, you think about those numbers. It's like, why do people do this?
It seems scary. It seems scary. There seems like there could be some months that checks don't cash.
Yeah. So that's why you see, I don't know if when you go into game stores, smaller ones, that's why a lot of times you actually don't see a whole lot of employees, because they just typically don't have a whole lot of money to pay, which is interesting. So yeah, so that's where we're at, and I'm like, but luckily, so not luckily, but so I'd done the whole market night thing, and so I'm like, you know what? So I at least had an idea of what could we do in 3 hours. Once a week with hardly any market. Oh, you're a jerk. You really just took that?
Yeah.
Factory World?
It was between that and the Stellar Reef, and I decided to go Factory World.
I think that's game over, man. I don't think I can respond. I don't think I can come back from that. Man. Anyway, acquired a card that costs 6 or less. I should just beat you up. Yep, I'm just gonna beat you up. This is funny. I think I remember an interview once, someone talked about Parasite, and they were like, the acquire a card of cost 6 or less, that ability is going to be more of a issue for people than it will be a benefit.
They take lesser cards because it is there.
Well, it's like it's a free card. I should take it, right? Well, 6 damage. That could be the
Yeah,
game.
six. You
You
know,
only,
six
you only
six
had
in a
one
draw.
damage.
6 in a draw can be pretty
Yeah.
lucrative.
So anyway, it was looked like a lot of money, but I twisted my wife's arm. We were doing in between 300 and 500 at a market night in 3 hours, and I was like, so if we can do this, then I think we can pull it out. I think we can average $500 to $700 a month, a week, a day, $500 to $700 a day, maybe a little bit more, 1,000 to 1,200 on a weekend, and I think we can actually do this. And so, twisted my wife's arm even harder. She finally gave up and was like, "All right, let's go for it." And I told you earlier she does social media, so she's our marketing manager, which has been an amazing asset. And so our social media is pretty awesome, actually. We all kind of contribute. There's 3 of us now that kind of work on that together. But anyway, so it seemed like a lot of money. So I was like, let's see if we can find a place where we can sign a short-term lease, which we were like 4 months. Let's go. And we signed up. This was, so once the ball started rolling, this was literally the middle of summer. So we were like, let's shoot for opening in like September. So this is like June, July that him and I are talking, Andrew, our store manager. And
2019.
yeah, no,
Oh, this last year. Okay.
2020,
This was
middle of the
last year.
summer.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like, hey, let's do a store in Redlands. And I'm like, let me crunch the numbers. This was literally June, July. So keep in mind, I've been working on it for 6 years now. But June, July, he's like, dude, let's do something. I'm like, let me run the numbers again.
So it was in the tank for 6 years, and you were ruminating, but he comes to you and says, "Let's do this." More recently, far more recently.
Yeah. So literally, yeah.
And good
Middle of
game.
summer.
I never even saw my factory world.
I was gonna say, I think womping on you was the right choice, dude. What the heck happened there? 45-1. But yeah, so he came to me, yeah, middle of summer, June. I think it was June that he called, gave me the phone call. Was like, dude, let's do something. And so we literally took like 2 months. We're in the middle of a pandemic at this point because this is 2020. This is the summer of 2020. So it's like they've announced pandemic and the world's coming to an end and everyone's quarantined. And at this point, though, luckily it's been a few months, so people are starting to get tired of getting quarantined. And so I'm like, am I totally nuts opening a retail in a pandemic? And so I called a couple coaches and mentors and was like, hey, let's run this through me. Like, I'm kind of passionate and I don't want to be blinded by my own passion. And so am I nuts? And, the more we talked about it, the more it's like, not only are you excited about this, but it's something we can target pandemic people to, because ultimately it helps them stay at home. Technically, they kind of have to come to the store and get it, but we offered curbside, we offered delivery, and we've done a couple of those, like local delivery. I've literally dropped off a board game at a door a couple different times now.
So this is actually, I am interested in this. You talked earlier in the conversation. You kind of had to consider maybe changing some of the things you originally thought about, like a cafe. And those are things that maybe even could come back someday. But you
Right.
maybe, you had to create some special ideas just to sort of, while a lot of business were trying to figure out how do we change from how we've been doing things, maybe at least coming in, you did come in with some fresh eyes and said, how do we kick this off during this particular time? Do you think there maybe even might have been some silver linings? What were there people leaving the retail space at the time you were entering it? I mean, how was that? I don't know if that plays in at all, but are there other things about this particular time that maybe made it worse or better for getting up and running?
Yeah, it's amazing. Hindsight is 2020, and not the year 20. But anyway, what's really crazy is as I look back, it literally looked like there was a power from above that was just kind of orchestrating stuff. There are so many things that fell in place perfectly that It's literally amazing. So I actually literally even spent some time writing some of those things down because I'm like, this is nuts. So obviously, I mean, think about it. So Andrew called me in June. We were like, let's open in September. Who the heck does that? June, July, August, September. Let's open in September. That's 3 months away. We can do it, right?
Wow.
You're talking about opening a business. So, I mean, again, been doing it for a while. Luckily, I already had some accounts for.
And you guys had an area and a city, but I mean, you guys didn't have a location or anything quite yet, right?
No. So, I mean, with that being said, I've done a ton of research on locations because A, I live here in Redlands, but B, it's I just can't help I just can't help but think about it all the time now. And so one thing. So yeah, so I had very familiar. I kind of knew the street in Redlands that is the hot street that I wanted to be on. It's called State Street. It's actually where Market Night is hosted. So familiar with the businesses. I've driven up and down the street who knows how many times and seen businesses come and seen businesses go. And I've actually called real landlords and said, hey, how much are you charging for rent? And what does that look like? And so I already had an idea of pricing and what that looks like. And so, yeah, I should not have taken that. Oh, well. So yeah, so that's so again, so a lot of that business planning buildup has made it to where we were even close to capable of opening in 3 months, and we didn't actually end up opening in September, but we got the keys at the end of September. What? I gotta look real quick. Actually, hang on. Looking at my other screen over here. If you're wondering, so we got the keys. It was Friday. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on September 22nd. So, which is Tuesday. So we either got them Tuesday or Wednesday. I thought it was a Wednesday, but it's a Tuesday, the 22nd. We literally opened the doors for business the next Friday.
Wow.
So 10 days.
Wow.
So technically we actually had people, which is October 2nd. So technically we actually had people coming in the store on the 1st, but me and a buddy, his name's Tim, his last name's actually Weed. Facebook flagged him, was like, you need to show us proof that your last name is Weed. It's kind of funny. So,
so you opened with in September. How many? And you mentioned employees.
October.
Do you have October? Do you have employees yet, or is it primarily you and
so,
Tracy at this point?
I'm thinking board game store. I was like, yeah, we'll be able to make some adjustments first month, and I was thinking this is fourth quarter. If we can make the nut anytime, it would be during fourth quarter, which is Black Friday and Christmas and all that good stuff. And so it's like, if we can make money, it'll be these 4 months. It'll be these 3 months. So it's like, let's find somewhere. We found somewhere where it's able to give us a 4-month lease. That was an amazing location. And part of that is, I think, also because of the pandemic, as you were talking about and alluding to. And so it's funny, though, because it used to be a clothing store, and then a jewelry store actually came in and asked for the space, borrowed the space for a temporary remodel that they were doing. And so they came in temporarily and then came back to their store after it had been remodeled. And so so the location, I think, came free that same year in 2020. And of course, no one instantly moved in, probably because of the pandemic and the chaos going on. And so I think, yeah, as you were saying, that we kind of got a gift in disguise. Plus, puzzles went crazy as far as sales during the pandemic.
So you're doing puzzles too. Nice. That's a good call. That makes total sense. Is that just something that goes with a game store?
Yeah, I haven't really. So I'm not a big puzzle guy. So I haven't been into very many game stores that have puzzles. So when I think about the ones around me, I can't think of any that actually have puzzles. I even, like, Pasadena is actually not that far away, and Game Empire was out there. And I don't even know, and it could just be that I didn't know, wasn't aware of it, not something I was looking for. But they were a good game store, and I don't even think they carried puzzles. But it totally makes sense in a game store to have puzzles, and especially for our area and everything. So I was like, especially with how crazy the sales were going, I was like, yeah, that just makes sense. Let's do that. So we brought in a section of puzzles, and now we're actually going to expand our puzzle section. But
So
yeah,
yeah, let's.
so
All of the opening, all of business is amazing, and congrats. Let's tell us about the store itself. Tell us about what you've created and kind of who your main audience is. Are you selling some White Wizard products, Rich?
you know it. Got to have Star Realms on the shelf. So I look forward to the day we can actually host Star Realms tournaments. You know,
Yes,
it's like,
yes.
come on, let's get some real games going. Um, so so last thing about setup, because the other crazy thing is I got to remember the name of the store. But anyway, because of COVID, one of the big retail stores was closing as well. So I actually went in and scooped up all of my shelving, all of my slat wall, all of that from this retail store that was closing at a fraction of the cost that they paid for it, and the fraction of the cost that I would pay for it for new. And so these were pretty big box um, stores, and so I was able to get all of my shelving from them, which huge, incredible blessing as well.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I don't even
but
think
yeah,
about
so that
that
was
kind of
fun.
stuff. Yeah, that's
So we actually have now this is also rare because it's we have 2 foot deep shelves, which when you think about is like what game are you going to put on there that's that long? And so it looks good. It's still one of those I would have never purchased it like that if it weren't for the situation that we were in.
opportunities, sure.
Yeah, the opportunity. That's probably a better way to say it. So yeah, so we opened up again right on State Street, right on prime time, and we end up getting a bunch of walk-in traffic from just regular, ordinary people. Nice purchase there, and
Thanks. I'm
amazing.
realizing again I'm in the teens though. This is getting.
I mean, it was a good buy, but I like where we're sitting. You got 19, I got 49.
Ugh. I don't remember that even happening.
I know, right? It's because you're so you're enjoying the story too much. But yeah, so we set our shelves up, and I thought this was kind of unique as well. I don't, yeah. How much second? Can I even take out your base? Yeah, I can. Okay, just barely. Um, so we set the shelves up in a way. I'm not gonna buy anything else by difficulty, actually, which I also haven't seen done before as well. But so we set up categories. We start with puzzles, then we go into kids and family, and I intentionally called it gateway games as the third one.
I get you. You're
Intentional.
talking complexity of the games themselves
Yeah,
for your customers. I like that.
yeah. So
I
you
like that.
do gateway games, which is an industry term if your viewers are in the industry at all. Gateway. We also call it cardboard crack. So gateway games. It's a real thing. It really is. Uh, but yeah, so the gateway in a party, and then we call it casual, and then middleweight and heavyweight. So, and people have really, the reception there has been really great for that as well. Um,
So give us just maybe one or two examples in each of those categories. What is one of your better sellers right now for Gateway, all the way up to heavy hitters? Give us one or two that's really killing it in the store right now.
so in our gateway section, we have Catan and Ticket to Ride because those are big nation recognizable brands and stuff like that. We
Mm-hmm.
did it at eyesight, eye level. So when you come into the store, it's one of those, if you don't look too much, it's one of those games that you can actually see. Uh, And then the other one is our store manager, a bunch more, but other one that is super popular in that is Planet, which is
Hmm.
actually Blue Orange, one of our store managers' favorite games. Going into party, of course, you got Exploding Kittens, which I of all publishers, I hate those guys. There's they give retail like the middle finger. They're like, screw you guys, we're gonna charge you as much as we can because we know you're gonna buy our games. So it's like, so yeah. Part of me wants to get away from selling their games just in general. But anyway,
That's another
so
aspect. Good game, by the way. Again, another close one though.
you
You
had a
have to
lot of
deal.
damage to catch back up. Like that that is crazy. I was literally at 49 2 turns ago.
So dealing with things like distributors and game manufacturers, is that all new to you in this experience as well? Other than, I guess, in doing what you talked about with the party setting,
So
this is a whole different thing, right?
the breadth of the amount that we're doing now is incredible. So we're ordering like to bring numbers back to give you an idea, we're ordering like $10,000 worth of games every week, and so that means we're selling that. We grew our inventory significantly, so some of that is growth, but then some of that is also just new buying, and so yeah, so it's crazy how many distributors we have now. So, but I had been working with GTS and Alliance and AEG and some of that beforehand, so I had some of that, and then Andrew had even more experience with that because he worked with a publisher and he'd already worked retail and he was doing some of that ordering already. So him being our store manager, he picked it up and just ran with it. And I had enough knowledge to make myself dangerous, which was nice. So I wasn't going into it blind or anything like that. I love taking the cutter from you, by the way.
We've got about enough time here for one final game. So I'm going to try to even it up and get us to 2-2.
Oh, yeah, let's
And
see. Well, that's true. Let's see if you
fact,
can do it.
you did. You
I took the cutter, one of the
from
best
me.
cards.
Yeah, you did. Now, I do feel like this cargo craft is darn near a yellow cutter. Being that we're just playing base sets, I don't know if it quite experiences all the other significant gains that yellow has had that helps
That's
me
true.
say that about the cargo craft. But I still feel like it's a real good card, and we're going to grab it and follow it up. Oh, man, do I go into some scrap at the Plasma Bot or take the Lancer because it's the other really, really just good yellow card every time? Ugh. All right.
Nice. So party games are classic. Most people know party games. And one thing that surprised me, especially when it comes to party games, is how many people we got coming in asking for drinking games. And so we've been trying to find games and expanding that kind of as much as we can. But along the lines, yeah. So that's been really interesting. I feel that's one of the most interesting things that I was like, okay, yeah, we can try to find more of those. But then you get in your casual, which we have Azul there, which is in between probably gateway and casual. But
Sure.
on that level, at least, you got Pandemic in there, which I think is a really good casual game because that one's actually cooperative, but it has enough complexity that it's quite challenging.
Is the sales of Pandemic up at the moment?
So I heard that it was up when it first started, so February, March, I heard it was up. But what's really comical is, so our audience, you asked me earlier, is very casual players. And so a lot of people are coming in and looking at it and saying, is this game new? And of course we tell them, no, it's been around for a really long time. But of course they did just come out with Panic Zone, which is the North America version. And so it's like they did choose to release this during a pandemic, which is pretty funny. But yeah, so a lot of people coming into the store aren't even familiar with Pandemic. So there was an increase, but it's a steady mover now. So then you get in your middleweight, which we have Clank in there, a great deck building board game.
Deck building dungeon crawler. Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
It's solid. If you haven't played it, you should, which sounds like you have.
Mm-hmm.
But
Weirdly, was oddly just total weird coincidence in the same building as Direwolf here in Denver for
nice.
like 3 years. I'm not now, but I was with the Clank people for a while in the same building. It was pretty funny.
That's cool. That's cool. Sorcerer would be in that middleweight, in my opinion. That's almost to the heavyweight, but there's kind of a blend somewhere in there. And then there's all kinds of stuff in that section too. Then your heavyweight, you get into Twilight Imperium and Rebellion and Uwe Rosenberg and a lot of his games and all that good stuff. The juicy good stuff.
Now, I know that ordinarily less quarantining, you probably would be looking at having regular play, right there. Are you set up where you have tables where you can host things like tournaments and regular play? Is that allowed yet? Or is it something that's going to be more as things evolve? What are you able to do yet today?
So I'm in California, so regulations here are a bit higher in general, but also with the pandemic. I'm about 2 hours, hour and a half ish away from LA, so we're kind of out of the hot zone. But this last, uh, whatever you call it, spike in whatever, it hit us in our area a whole lot more than the previous one did. Um, our governor finally just released the stay-at-home orders, and so in November we tested it just by running a couple D&D campaigns and running just a couple small 8-player drafts, and so we capped it at that. We're looking at, since the stay-at-home lift just came up again, we are looking at doing events. And again, so I'm a player. I like playing games, so I built a place that I'd want to play games. So it's not very big. We only have 3 tables. One seats 2, can seat 6. The third one seats 4. So it's not big. 17 by 17, so about 400 square foot. So it's just enough to fit. I gotta figure out what I gotta scrap here. Yeah, let's do that. Enough people to play games, and that's what we're going for. We're right next to a park, so we're hoping that will help as well, that we can actually host events out there. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, so right now just small stuff, but I have this really cool wallpaper that I stuck up that literally has C-3PO spray painting a TIE fighter, which is comical when you stop and think about that.
Nice.
And then I have this beautiful, crazy sci-fi kind of mural on the other side of the wall. Just replaced the carpet, and people are like, they step on it, it's like squishy because of the new padding underneath it. So it's just a great place.
And you've had a good reception. Obviously, you're still open. We're still talking. I approached this to you some time ago, so it must be going well. And things look positive going into 2021.
Yeah, things. You know what? We just ended talking about earlier. We started with a 4-month lease. We started in October. If anybody's good at math, the end of January. Today is February 1st, and I still have a store. So that's super exciting. We did a real thing, and people like it, and they keep coming back, and we get repeats, and we still get new people frequently, like every day. And so yeah, so we actually just signed a 3-year lease as compared to a 4-month lease. So that's super exciting.
Huge. That's huge. Board Game Paradise, Redlands, California. I am so excited for you guys. I'm going to follow back in and see how things are going, and someday I'm going to get out there. I do have some other questions for Rich. We'll, of course, get some links up, both here in the video and on the YouTube. So, Rich, do you still play Epic?
I don't get to play a lot of games at all. So I still have a day job. I still haven't quit my job. So we have
You
Andrew.
have a regular job and a game store.
Yeah.
I
So I have a regular.
I hadn't put that together. Holy cow.
Yeah,
Okay.
employee
Wow.
job. So I work the day job from 8-ish, well, 7-ish to about 4 or 5, and in between there answer some questions for the game store. But then, so a lot of my time in the evening is spent with family and or the game store, and so I don't have a lot of extra time.
I think we glazed over that at the start. I didn't quite put my head together. You were still working a standard job on top of this. Wow. And parenting and spousing.
trying, as good as I can. Actually, Trace, my wife, and I actually are doing pretty solid, which is great. So we're both very headstrong personalities, and so it's marriage is an interesting journey. But that's a whole nother animal, man.
I was gonna say we'll take that one off Twitch. Go on YouTube. We'll do a little sit down. No. Wow. Okay. So, man, how do you? Yeah, that's so much time working and prepping and everything. You guys obviously are in this together. And is this something that the kids enjoy as well?
So he's 4. But I started playing Classic with him when he was like 2. So Classic is like a magnetic air hockey, And literally, there's times when I'd stick him on the other side and we just try to hit the ball back and forth. And then there's other times when I'd sit him in my lap and we play against someone else. And so, great memories. But he loves Animal Upon Animal, which is an animal stacking game with a dice. This is another close game, dude. I think
Yep.
you might have me. I
It's
have
real
a
close.
tremendously terrible draw. But so I'm looking forward to the days that we can play Keyforge together and go to Star Realms tournaments and sweep the whole thing and him get first and me get second or something cool like that. So,
And
oh
there
man, just
it
barely.
is.
There it is. So yeah. So
Well, I think
uh,
two apiece is a fair way to sort of leave it. We'll certainly can we could probably finish one off stream to finish up the.
it's a good
But we'll
tiebreaker.
we'll
Good
certainly finish up
50%
some
ratio.
thoughts here with you, Rich. Yeah, we did preface at the beginning. We did meet not at a Star Realms event, but at an Epic event, White Wizard Game Fair. Obviously, that's another thing we were kind of robbed of this past year is the conventions, and I can only assume that you will be looking to get back to those as quickly as possible. Will you have a slightly almost a different perspective and even a reason for some of these trips now, being that you are in the industry?
Yeah, it's exciting because it's a whole nother animal that I'm on the buying side of things, not just for my personal self, but for ultimately other people in our target audience and things like that. So I should go in for a different perspective with a different perspective as well. But I still love playing, and I'm still a competitive player. In fact, this last year I qualified for. I brought up Keyforge a few times. I qualified for World's Keyforge, and I was super bummed because that was literally supposed to happen in May, and the pandemic literally hit us the hardest in February and March, and so they kind of kept pausing and waiting, and then they finally cancel it, and it's like no.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer. But yeah, so and Origins has already been announced this year that it's going to happen late this summer, so they're going to still try to make it happen in they're still in person, which
Yep. And
is crazy to think about.
I am well, I haven't spent any money yet. I have in theory committed. If it happens, I will be there. So if you
If
are
it
also
happens, I'm
there, I
there.
will look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah.
Are you still playing in any competitive Star Realms at all? Are you still doing any queuing, or is this almost more of a step back into it here tonight with me? Has it been a little bit?
Yeah, it has. If I could show you my stream, my queue, it is blank. It
On
has
the
four
one
cutters
game.
on it, and that is it. So so I have like 3,000 over 3,000 games logged. 3,200 is my lifetime, which isn't much compared to the cutter. But I've been playing it almost just as long as you. Almost. No, you got it. Yeah, you got in just a little bit before I did, but yeah, so definitely still have it on my phone, still play it here and there. I really wanted to get that turkey promo card they had for the app.
The Blob
During,
Avatar.
yeah, but that was literally November, so I was like, yeah, I don't have time to play. I even stopped. I had to quit. I was in a Keyforge tournament, and I literally had to quit. I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I gotta open a board game store. I can't. I don't have time right now, and work a day job. Oh, and I should probably be a little bit present for my son and wife. So, but it'll happen again. I have an awesome store manager. We have awesome staff. We're actually up to 5 people. You asked me that a little bit earlier. So, yeah, it's incredible. It's a fun story.
Well, Rich, I think that is our time. So I do want to thank you very much and huge congrats. And I wish you luck on everything with the store. Again, we'll get some information up here on the video and, of course, on YouTube. Everyone, do stop in. Any final thoughts at all?
Nah, we're developing a website, so boardgameparadise.store will eventually be fully operational, but you can go check it out. It is technically open, but other than that, we hope to see you guys sitting at the table. And Matt, I look forward to seeing you at the next convention, man. I miss you. I see. Although,
Absolutely.
side note, we started to talk about it. The pinball machines behind, dude,
Oh,
bro.
thanks.
There is a legit warehouse that has just rows and rows and rows of pinball, and the owner only opens it like 3 times a year, and he hosts a tournament and everything. So one of these times we're gonna get you flying out here so we can go hang out and play some pinball.
That's the other thing. In addition to getting to card game, board game, Star Realms conventions, I also am starting to get to pinball for competitions and whatnot.
Nice.
And I love traveling around different places because you can see machines that maybe you haven't seen other places. There are some that are obscure, and yeah, you do find these conventions that sort of pop up once a year. Some of them are starting to announce they're not coming back, but we can only hope, just like our shows, that they do as well. And it's a great hobby. It's on a huge resurgence. Are you a pinball fan at all?
I am because it's almost just kind of classic. I can remember my brother and I literally playing as kids, but but I'm not competitive in any way. I just enjoy seeing the machines and playing a little bit. So
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
I'll leave you with this. So with the new store we're looking at, I don't know if you can see the logo. That's probably better. So he's like a little sorry pawn,
Nice,
and we're looking at changing it to a meeple. So I would say leave it in the
nice.
comments or tell Matt or however you want to do it, whether it should stay the pawn or whether it should change to a meeple. What are your thoughts?
Pawn, Meeple, man, there could be even some other ones we're forgetting.
Go, man. Thank you so much. It was
Thank you
fun
so much.
catching up.
I'll stay on with you, Rich, here shortly. Everyone else, do stop in Wednesday nights on Twitch for my weekly Star Realm stream, community, banter, all of that. Rich, thanks so much. We'll see everyone soon.
Thank you, Matt.